Today I thought I would show some differences in how echeverias look when they've been living under different kinds of conditions. Right here in front we have an Echeveria Perle von Nurnberg, which most of these plants that I'll show you in this video are. And this one's been doing really well. He's been living outside in a very sunny environment. He gets sun all day long, and he's gotten a lot of water recently, or a healthy amount of water. In contrast, I have this Echeveria, which normally lives under an overhang about 6 feet away and gets the same amount of sun, but is actually kind of thirsty right now. And you can see that the leaves have sort of a different character to them. This guy here, his leaves are a little bit crispier, and especially if you look underneath, the leaves are kind of bent in a way that this guy's aren't. So this is how they look when they're a little bit thirstier. I definitely should water this one when I finish the video. I also have two Echeveria Perle von Nurnbergs that have been living in sort of mid-level shade, moderate shade, not very bright shade, but not the worst either. And that's this little guy right down here. And you can see that he actually looks very different than this larger one, or than either of these two larger ones. And I also have this guy who has also been living in sort of moderate shade, and he is also the same species, but he really looks quite different than the other three. So that's one major difference. Another interesting thing to note is that this lets us see what etiolation looks like. Etiolation is when the stem stretches on a plant to reach the light, and you can see right here, this stem, instead of having tight little rosette the way these guys do, he has a little section here that's stretched out. That's because when he was growing, I didn't give him enough light at that time. And then now at the top, you can see it is starting to become a tight rosette again, and that's because he has gotten enough sun. But this etiolation where the stem is stretched is permanent and can't be undone, so it'll just always be that way, which is sort of a shame. I'll probably eventually cut off the top and let him grow from there. I also have a really good example of terrible looking etiolation over here with this plant, which is the same species again, and he had sort of some sad things happen to him, but as you can see, he has a very long stem right here. It almost looks like the stem of a non-succulent flower with leaves coming off, and this is because he was etiolated for a very long time. I had him with not enough light for months. And so you can see again at the top a little tight rosette where I finally put him back into a good lighting situation, but you can see this isn't very attractive, and it's certainly not as attractive as this guy over here. So so that's what etiolation looks like. Sometimes it's hard to tell, and you can actually see it in lots of different kinds of plants. If we come over here to other plants in my garden, you can see that that this guy has a very long stem at the base with no leaves, but then at the top it looks like a nice flower. And so really etiolation is just sort of the process that creates the stems, and I'm saying that with air quotes, of your succulents. They get tight at the top and then they get stretched out at the base. You can really see that right here, where I recently cut where I took some cuttings. These plants right inside have much longer stems with very few like leaves on them, and then at the top they all look really great. So anyway, that's what etiolation is, and I hope this video has been helpful.